So how do I prove bias in social services? As you can imagine, I get a lot of questions around biased, whether the judge is biased, whether CAFCAS is biased, whether your own solicitor is biased, if they've got their own agenda, there's that as well. And social services, of course, also come under this bracket as well. So the original poster that asked this in my previous question, this is for you. Let me just point out, again, repeating myself a little bit somewhat, is that there is a big difference between what is perceived as bias and, let's be real here, that you just don't like what's being said, okay, that you disagree with what is being said. Two are very, very different. Just because you disagree with what's being said or what's being ordered or the position that the judge or social services are taking doesn't necessarily mean that they're biased. So if you genuinely feel that social services are biased, then the way to deal with that is to challenge that in the right way. Now, your natural human instinct is going to want to complain, but I'm actually going to tell you not to do that. And part of the reason I'm going to tell you not to do that is because, for two reasons. First of all, they investigate themselves. So from an objective point of view, you think, well, what use is complaining if they're just going to investigate themselves? And number two is that by complaining, you actually lose focus about why you're in court in the beginning. And to remind ourselves, you're probably in court to have and fight for and persuade the court that you should be having a meaningful relationship with the children. So if you're complaining, and there's a whole process, there's a whole labyrinthine complaints procedure that the local authority have, trust me, that is going to take up a big bulk of your bandwidth and headspace to do that. And whilst you're doing that, and I know loads of people that have been down that complaints process, and I know some people who are very good at it as well. But here's the thing, first of all, it does take a massive amount of bandwidth. It means that you get sucked into the minutiae of their complaints procedure. And never mind just the procedure in itself, but the politics and the games that go along with that. Complaints that never get past the first stage. If you get past hurdle number 1, you've got hurdles 2, 3 and 4. So by the time you've embroiled yourself in that, you by default have completely lost focus as to why you're in court in the beginning. So if you're going to challenge it, you want to be challenging it, first of all, in a statement. Make sure, be careful about what exactly are you challenging. Because if it's just what the ex said, well, social services are designed to document and are meant to document people's point of view, whether it's an ex, whether there's an SGO, whether there's the school, whether there's the health visitor. That's just their words put down on paper. So be careful with what exactly you are challenging. What you should be challenging is the professional judgment and the advice to the court. Okay, because that's the stuff whereby what social services will have done is taken all of the information that they have spoken to, gleaned, put it in a report, and that's where they put their input in. That's what they think. So you should be challenging that in a statement and using why. And the toolbox that you're going to use is the same as the courts and all other professionals in family court, and that's the welfare checklist. Keep it focused. So you're going to challenge that in a statement. You are going to challenge it in submissions if you represent yourselves, or you're going to get your rep to sort of challenge it as to why. Again, keep it welfare checklist focused. And then if there's still no unbiased from the back of that, then you'll want to challenge that in a final hearing. Now, that whether you're represented or not getting through a final hearing can be pretty daunting. It's daunting if you are just on the stand anyway. It's also daunting if you have to prepare questions to ask social services, local authority, and I have to say, whether you're represented or not, I don't think that feeling actually changes. If you're represented, you're having to rely on that third party to get it right, make sure they're putting across your challenges properly and not dismissing them or omitting them, as I've seen a lot of times happen. And if you are asking the questions, that's quite a daunting thing to ask. What do I ask? What do I say? You know, how do I ask it? And there's definitely a specific way in which to ask questions. I think cross-examination, as most legal professionals will tell you, is an art, and it takes practice over time. So if you are in that scenario and you need to challenge social services, you're probably going to need some help to do that. Let me know your comments below. Like I said, I get asked this quite a lot, so I'm expecting the comments to blow up a bit. Drop your comments below. Are you experiencing this at the moment? Are you experiencing biased? I guess not necessarily just in social services, but generally in the courts as well. A lot of people say to me about, and I see in the comments, I see your guys in the comments, I see you, and talking about how you think the system is corrupt and how it's biased. It is difficult for me to kind of comment upon that, really, and maybe I'll do a video about that. But I want to know what you guys think. Drop me in the comments and let me know. Guys, have an amazing rest of the day, and I'll check you later.